was confused the first time I saw this web camera. The picture is disorienting, but this beast is hanging upside down. It's a bat. A large bat known as a flying fox. There are several species of this megabat. They make up some of the largest bats in the world. The wingspan of the largest measures close to 5 feet. They can be found in the tropics and subtropics of Australia, Indonesia, Asia, and Africa. Unlike the bats you see here in Colorado, the flying fox does not echolocate. It uses its eyes, nose, and ears to find food. They are a migratory and nomadic keystone species, meaning many other plants and animals rely on the flying fox to survive. Feasting on fruit, these megabats pollinate flowers and scatter seeds, regenerating the forests. But their love of fruit also gets them into trouble. Farmers will kill this bat to protect their crops. This, along with land clearing, wildfires, and backyard fruit tree netting, have led to their decline. You can watch conservation efforts in real time by visiting the Flying Fox Cam at the Luby Bat Conservancy on explore.org. Becky Ditchfield, 9 News.